Creep Night, sure to send a chill down your spine. Welcome to Creep Night. A simple game can turn into a horrific nightmare if the game is not played right. Just remember, if you pick truth, tell the truth. And if you pick dare, be aware. A group of friends, united by a shared desire for adventure, embarked on a thrilling journey. Among them were Vanessa, a free spirit with a contagious laugh; Roxanne, a mysterious and enigmatic soul with a presentiment for the unknown; Alexa, a radiant and passionate presence; AJ, a witty and charming joker; and Stephen, a thoughtful and inquisitive mind. As they gathered at the gates of Crown Point Cemetery, a sense of anticipation mingled with a hint of apprehension filled the air. The sprawling expanse of tombstones bathed in the eerie glow of the moonlight, casting an unworldly aura upon the surroundings. The air was thick with humidity, and a bone-chilling cold permeated their bodies, sending chills down their spine. With a collective deep breath, they stepped through the gates, their hearts pounding with excitement and a touch of trepidation. The towering trees swaying gently in the night breeze, their branches creaking, moaning, as if whispering secrets of the past. As they ventured deeper into the cemetery, the darkness seemed to envelop them, broken only by the flickering light of their flashlights. They chose a clearing surrounded by towering mausoleums for their meeting place. In the center of the clearing, they laid out a blanket, forming a makeshift circle that would serve as their sacred place for the game of truth or dare. Each member of the group took their place, their eyes reflecting excitement. Vanessa turned to Roxanne. Truth or dare? Truth. Is it true that you have a crush on Peter? Remember, you picked truth, so you have to answer honestly. It's true. Roxanne turned to Alexa. Truth or dare? Truth? What is your biggest secret you are keeping? I don't have a secret. The group had begun grappling with the possibility of Alexa having a big secret from some time. There was hints and subtle cues that suggested Alexa was hiding something, and the group wasn't convinced of her innocence, while others were skeptical. Despite Alexa's reassurance, the group remained unconvinced. They felt that there was more to the story and that Alexa was not being completely honest with them. However, they also recognized that pursuing the matter further could lead to conflict and potentially jeopardize their plans. Alexa turned to AJ and asked, Truth or dare? Truth. What is your biggest fear? Heights. AJ turned to Stephen and asked him, Truth or dare? Dare. I dare you to dance on a grave for 10 seconds. Stephen's gaze shifted towards AJ, his eyes filled with a mix of uncertainty. But nevertheless, he rose from his seat and ventured towards a particular headstone. It was covered in a thick layer of moss, its surface marbled by deep cracks that resembled the marks of sharp claws. The headstone bore the scars of 3 long and profound gashes, as if an unseen force had ranked its surface with unrelentingly force. Although I did not consider myself a superstitious individual, a strange sense of unease washed over me as Stephen stood before the ominous headstone. An unexpected feeling gnawed at my mind, warning me that something was amiss. Despite this, I attempted to dismiss my own apprehension, convincing myself that it was just merely a fragment of my own imagination and the results of the game's atmosphere. Stephen, the daring spirit of our group, had just completed his turn, and now all eyes turned to me, my heart pounding in my chest as I felt the cold chill ripple down my spine. Games like these were not my forte. I preferred the comfort of predictability to the thrill of the unknown. Gulping nervously, I braced myself for the impending question that would determine my fate in this strange ritual. The silence stretched on, thick and suffocating, as everyone waited with bated breath. Just when I thought the tension might consume me entirely, Stephen broke the silence, his voice carrying a mixture of excitement and anticipation. "Truth or dare?" With a heavy heart and mind filled of uneasiness, I stood there contemplating the options before me. Each one seemed to carry its own weight, its own set of consequences. The air around me hung heavy and thick with anticipation and uncertainty of the choice I was about to make. Time seemed to slow down, stretching out into an endless expanse as I weighed the pros and cons, searching for the path that would lead to the least amount of regret. Reluctantly, I reached out and picked one of the options, feeling the weight of the decision settling upon my shoulders like a physical burden. It was as if I were signing a contract, committing myself to a course of action from which there would be no turning back. With a mixture of hope and fear, I embraced the unknown, knowing the consequences of my choice would shape my life in ways I could not fully comprehend. Dare. I dare you to conjure up a spirit. I really didn't want to follow through with this dare, but felt I had no real option but to do so. I did not want to be called a chicken for the rest of my life. I turned to the grave Stephen had just danced on and called out. In the depths of the night where shadows dance and secrets reside, I invoked the spirits of the departed. O earthly beings, as I uttered these words, hear my plea and answer my call. From beyond the veil that separates the living from the dead, I beckon you to manifest your presence. With reverence and humility, I seek your guidance and wisdom. Your existence, through intangible to mortal eyes, holds a profound connection to the fabric of reality. Your spirits believe that boundaries between these worlds can be temporary, allowing for the belief in sacred communion. O spirits of the night, I call upon you. Reveal yourself to us. A profound and disturbing sense gripped my very core, like an icy tentacle snaking its way through my being. It was as if a deep-seated intuition whispered into my ear that I had committed an ingress act, a grave error that would have dire consequences in the time to come. This gut feeling, primeval and undeniable, sent a chill down my spine and filling my heart with a heavy dread. It was as though the invisible force whispered continuously tales into my ear, warning me of the impending doom that awaited us. The weight of this realization settled upon my shoulders like a crushing burning, casting a shadow over my thoughts and actions. I knew deep down that I had done something terribly wrong, and the consequences would be severe, and a sense of foreboding consumed me, and I could not shake the haunting feeling that we would pay dearly for that decision. I don't want to play anymore, guys. My group seemed very bummed out that I couldn't shake the sick feeling that something waited for us. I watched as Vanessa, Alexa, Roxanne, and Steven continued to play Truth or Dare. I told Steven could take my turn to pick someone else. Steven turned to Vanessa. Truth or dare?
Dare.
I dare you to count the graves in this row. Vanessa turned and began to count loudly until she came to the last headstone. 13? As soon as the ominous number 13 left her lips, a cold dread washed over me. My stomach twisted into knots, as if a malevolent force had taken hold of it. The number hung in the air like a dark cloud, casting shadows upon my heart. A sense of foreboding enveloped me, tightening its grip with each passing moment. It was as though the utterance of that number had opened a door to a realm of unknown terrors, leaving me feeling vulnerable and exposed. Vanessa turned to Roxanne. Truth or dare? Dare. I dare you to touch the headstone for 5 minutes. Roxanne cautiously approached the headstone, her footsteps echoing eerily in the desolate graveyard. The once pristine white marble was now covered in a thick layer of green, slimy moss, a testament of passing time. As she reached out to place her hand on the moss-covered surface, a wave of nausea washed over her. The sight of the green, slimy moss, combined with the musty scent of decay, triggered an overwhelming urge to vomit. Roxanne's face turned pale, and her stomach churned violently. She quickly turned away and rushed back the way she came. The need to find a private place to be sick became increasingly urgent as she stumbled through the overgrown paths of the graveyard. Roxanne could feel the bile rising in her throat, threatening to erupt at any moment. The combination of the eerie atmosphere and her physical discomfort created a sense of overwhelming dread within her. A wave of unease washed over me again, a chill that ran through my entire being. We had all crossed a boundary, done something we shouldn't have. The atmosphere grew heavy. The air around us seemed to thicken and grow cold, as if a blizzard had suddenly erupted. I could feel the icy sensation creeping across my skin, as if thousands of tiny needles were piercing me all at once. It was an intense and unsettling feeling, a physical manifestation of the growing anger that was permeating the air. The temperature seemed to plummet, and the hairs on my arms and neck stood on end. The tension was palpable, a thick and oppressive force that hung in the air like a thundercloud. Each breath I took seemed to get caught in my throat, and my heart pounding in the chest like a drum. The anger was tangible presence, a living entity that filled the room and threatening to consume us all. Guys, I think we should leave. This time, everyone had agreed with me. I knew right then and there they were all feeling what I was feeling. We all slowly got up and began to walk back to the gate. I wish the story had ended right then and there, but we were horribly wrong. As we walked to the gated area, I could feel a dreadful feeling that we were being followed. As I attempted to maintain a composed facade, an uncanny sensation gnawed at the back of my mind. It was as if unseen eyes were relentlessly scrutinizing every inch of my being, penetrating the depths of my soul. The feeling was inescapable, like an icy grip that sent shivers down my spine. Every fiber of my existence seemed to quiver under the weight of the intangible gaze. It was as though my most intimate thoughts and emotions were laid bare and exposed to the unseen audience. The weight of this perceived scrutiny was almost unbearable, a constant reminder that I was not alone, even in the solitude of my own thoughts. "I think we're being followed," I whispered to the group. Stephen went to turn around, but I quickly grabbed him by his arm and looked him dead in the eye and said, "Don't turn around." Stephen's nod was a silent acknowledgement, a single signal to carry on. Our footsteps fell heavy on the cracked pavement, each echoing our collective intimation. The closer we drew to the looming gate, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. A sense of impending doom weighed upon our hearts. A palpable darkness was closing in. As if driven by an unseen force, our pace quickened from a posable walk to a hurried run. My peripheral vision caught a glimpse of a chilling sight, a shadowy figure detached from the echoing darkness. It was an elderly lady, her raised frame towering over us. In her gnawing hands she bore a axe, its blade glistening ominously under the moonlight. With an astonishing agility, her bare feet skimped the ground, propelling her swiftly towards us. A collective gasp escaped our lips as we realized the impending danger we faced. The woman's eyes burned with an intense malevolence, her mouth twisted in a grotesque snarl. Fear coursed our veins. Feeling our desperate flight, the gates, once a symbol of sanctuary, now seemed an unreachable object, its sturdy iron bars intangibly out of reach. We ran, our feet pounding against the ground, the sound echoing in our ears. With each step our lungs burned and our muscles screamed in protest. But we couldn't stop, not while we were still being chased. It felt like we'd been running forever, like we were trapped in one of those nightmares where you run, but never seem to go anywhere. The path to the gate seemed to stretch out before us, endless and unforgiving. Just when we thought we had reached our limit, a new burst of adrenaline surged through us, giving us the strength to keep on going. The night was cold, and the wind whipped around us, biting at our exposed skin. We were soaked with sweat, our clothes clinging to our bodies, but we couldn't afford to think of our discomfort. We had to keep on moving. We had to stay alive. With every agonizing step, we could hear the ghost's footsteps closing in on us. Her heavy breathing and brutal growls sent shivers down our spines. We knew that if she caught us, there would be no mercy. We had to make it to the gate before the lady could corner us. With one final burst of energy, we sprinted towards the gate, our bodies screaming in protest. Just as the foots behind us grew deafening, we reached the gate and threw it open, slamming it shut behind us. We collapsed outside the gate, gasping for breath, our hearts pounding in our chests. We had made it. We were safe. Or so I thought. I could hear the screeching of the lady still in chase. As the ghostly lady materialized right at the gate, a sense of eerie stillness filled the air. She stood there, her ethereal form bathed in the dim moonlight, her eyes fixed on the sprawling cemetery beyond. It was as if she was tethered to this realm, unable to break free even if she desired. A profound sigh of relief washed over me. My heart, which had been pounding in my chest, gradually slowed to its frantic rhythm. The realization that this ghost figure was confined to the cemetery gave me a glimmer of hope. Perhaps I could escape this chilling encounter unscathed. The ghostly lady remained emotionless, her gaze never wavering from the graves that dotted the cemetery. Her sorrow-filled eyes seemed to carry the weight of centuries of regret and longing. A mechanical aura clung to her as if she was eternally bound to this place of rest. I took a cautious step backward, my eyes trained on the ghostly figure. The air grew heavy with an oppressive silence, broken only by the gentle rustling of the leaves in the nearby trees. As we turned to flee, a sudden gush of wind swept through the cemetery, carrying with it a mournful wail that seemed to originate from the ghostly lady. It was a sound filled with anguish and despair, a cry that echoed the pain of a soul trapped in an endless cycle of sorrow. The ghostly lady's form began to dissipate, her ethereal essence fading into the darkness. As the last remnants of her presence vanished, a profound sense of unease lingered in the air. The encounter with the ghostly lady had left an intangible mark on my mind, a reminder of the unseen forces that exist beyond our mortal comprehension. We learned one thing that night: we will never play truth or dare in a cemetery at night. Cemeteries, despite their somber reputation, can offer a unique and intriguing experience. The serene atmosphere, surrounded by towering tombstones and ancient trees, can be a place of both contemplation and exploration. The air of mystery and history that penetrates the grounds can create a sense of wonder and awe. Visitors can take a leisurely stroll admiring the carvings and inscriptions on the headstones, each one telling a story of a life lived. For those seeking a more thrilling experience, a game of truth or dare in a cemetery at night can provide a mixture of excitement and fear. The darkness, the eerie silence, and the stories associated with the location can heighten the senses and create an unforgettable adventure. Whether it's somber reflection or thrilling exploration, cemeteries offer a diverse range of experience that can cater to different tastes.
Thank you for listening to Creep Night.